Let me overstate my experience yesterday. My son here in England took me to a cycle auction. Uh, that sounds all very reasonable, but when I got there, I realised the site was a cattle sale yard, which of course is anathema to a vegan who's such because of compassion for the animals. No animals are there, don't get me wrong. They do hold a sale in the sale yards, some days of the week, but not this day. And it was a day fitting for me to see such an environment. It was miserable English rainy sort of day, just enough rain to get wet, not quite enough to not be outside, but really you just want to be inside and home and nothing to do with the place. And everything was grey about it. It was like looking at a very grey picture of a very sad part of Victorian England, of say, 200 years ago, whatever. And each individual was almost tragic, in health, in appearance, in shabbiness, in poverty. The environment was junk. I mean, every bit of stuff laid out. It was out in the open, in this poor weather, And it was all junk. You should have just swept the entire lot up and taken it to the tip. 100 bicycles in the most shabby, old, disreputable, exhausted, worn-out, useless state. And they're going to be auctioned for, something trivial like 10 or 15 or 20 pounds or something. And someone's going to try and bodge it up and sell it for a profit, and they need to, poor souls, because they are the very poorest end of society. And I don't want to be unkind, but the presentation and the face and the dress of many of them was utterly belligerent and the epitome of unloving. I was so repelled by the spirit of the place. I won't say satanic, but tragic. Life in its so desperately need of rescue form. And, people couldn't smile or talk to you. My son, tall, thin, dressed in black, frighteningly secular in some ways, kind in others, relates incredibly well in such environment. He just talks on a par, on the same wavelength with almost anyone there. It's a curious sort of combination in my mind of secular saint. He even speaks in the local Cockney sort of East End, South End, Essex caricature, really. I just feel it's not him. But he does it so much, I feel it is him. And I'm repelled really by the way he fits into this environment. and yet admire him for being able to, really. And I'm not. I'm just so repelled by the poverty and shabbiness and isolation, unlove, loneliness, desperation of that mankind can be in this sort of tragic, I was going to say lack of spiritual state or wrong spiritual state, I don't know. Well, I was tired of just waiting. I was looking after a granddaughter who's severely handicapped in the wheelchair, and he was talking 100 feet away to some couple of people he sort of knows, and I was waiting and getting colder and damper and standing. And anyway, when he said, "Oh, well, the auction's on now, we'll go in there," I said, I'm going to go and sit in the car, okay? And I did. I went and found the car and sat in the sort of parking area. Scruffy place again, you know. Everything's run down and poor and grey and shabby and such a sad place. It's like being in a living mortuary. You get the conundrum, paradox, whatever it's called. Anyway, I sat and I thought, I'm not going to sit in the car getting colder and colder. So I started the engine and put the heater on, and the time passed. No problem. I was sort of reflecting on the tragedy of this sort of environment situation, and every now and again someone would walk past my sight, and thin and old and emaciated and injured, lame, deprived. We know the word depravity actually comes from deprived of the presence of God. And it was a vivid presentation to me of this. Anyway, this part of the morning passed. Must have been there for, in total, well, something less than an hour, but long enough. Then we went on and did some shopping and had breakfast in a, now what's it called? Some chain of restaurants that's very reasonably priced and very comfortable, and a bit of a fried breakfast, but a great relief to be there. Yeah. The morning was quite an experience with my son, and the whole trip to England is an experience. Yeah. Let me pause a minute, see what I'm at here. Is to go back to England basically after 30 years of not seeing it. I went back each year for the first few years, but at Christmas time, just before, leading to Christmas, because we had a sort of selling business, retailing in the shopping malls, but not much time actually. They were good experiences. But to go back now after so long, well, it's not good, dear one. I sort of say to myself, come back, New Zealand. All is forgiven now. What a nice place. It's not like this quite. It's more like, well, it's nearer what England should be in one's mind. the actual England has become more secular, more isolated. The culture has degenerated even further. And I do mean degenerated. It's not been replaced by loveliness. It's just tragically falling apart. It's found its technology as a curse instead of a blessing, like perhaps so much of the world has. And it's a sort of insidious decay, moving towards the sayl yaad, really. Like an extremely advanced technology, but a tragically decayed state of being. I'm overstating it, dear one, but the contrast to New Zealand is a bit of a shock, and I didn't realise how pleasant New Zealand seemed to be by contrast. I really want to be back there, but at the same time I really want to be here in England, and for it to be nearer what I remembered it to be. But these people can't remember that. They only remember the near past, and that was only a bit better than it is today. Thank God, really, or they'd be even more depressed by what I see as the change in 20 or 30 years. Of course, the past, a bit like the absence makes the heart grow stronger, the past tends to look rosier the further away it is, and one forgets the reality of the difficulties. Thank goodness. Time heals all. This is the incredible blessing of this environment, this universe, and ones like it, I suppose, that you can experience, and the experience not just fades, but gets glossed over, historicicated, historicized, if there's such a word. There isn't, of course. Tarted up in one's mind and improved, and a bit like the fields on the other side of the fence always look greener. You're looking at an angle that just intensifies remembrance of what was, well, sadly better than today. And you forget perhaps the reality of the other difficulties that were there at the time. I don't know. But I trust that it's a blessing. I'd be mad to trust anything else, wouldn't I? You see, my name is Hope, and I have a great desire to live up to it. In secular terms, you say he's looking on the bright side. He's trying to. He's in the habit of it. But of course, in secular terms, you would also think of the invalidity of such. That, one should have a more comprehensive view of the world and its relative bad points as well as its good. And I suppose I do when I look at the world, but when I look at heaven, well, I think I've got my rose-tinted glasses on, of course, but Heaven is to be heaven for me. I can only trust it in some mythical, perfect sense. And now by mythical I don't mean not non-existent. I mean enduring through all time to life eternal. We have so denigrated the notion of myth and legend, haven't we? What a tragedy when, in fact, it was our very lifeline of wisdom of how to live and survive down the ages through this incredible contrasting experience in this universe of good and bad, that each of us that visit here might learn and come to life eternal as a consequence of the experience of this visit. So I say thank you to heaven, to God, for this trip to England. I've not come to stay. I've come to remind myself, wow, thank you for the blessings of having lived here, Lord. And it's changed and it's not the way it was in my mind now. But perhaps it wasn't that good anyway, in the sense of enjoyableness. But the usual amazing mix of good and bad to teach us that we might long for God in a situation in which we didn't know him, but found we longed for him to exist. How wonderful to be blessed by such an experience, to find that he's in our heart, if not in the environment that we're looking at. My soul longs for you, Heavenly Dad. My soul longs for you. Nothing else will do. Nothing else will do. My soul longs for you. My soul longs for you. Nothing else will do. Nothing else will do. My soul longs for you. My soul longs for you. Nothing else will do. Do you see? Thank you so much, Heavenly Father, that you show us just how much we long for you. You put your very being, yourself, in our hearts. You dwell in us, just as John 17 prayer requests, that we may be one forever in your loving kindness and being. So thank you, Heavenly Dad. Thank you, Dad.